from the cross, it's a good cross.
It's a great ball for Somerby, and it's a goal for Manchester City, and I think that's going to go down for an own goal.
A drab goalless draw at windswept Grimsby meant that Rovers had to start winning. The playoffs were beginning to look beyond them. Southend were next up at Prenton, and a very special night indeed for player-manager John Aldridge, as he scored his 468th goal to break the all-time British goal-scoring record.
Of course, it was last season, though, just staying with your playing career, that you scored the goal against Southend. And when you scored that, did it sink in? I've scored more goals than Jimmy Greaves, Ian Rush, everybody else.
Yeah, it did to myself. It wasn't a lot of hype surrounding it, funnily enough. Perhaps if you live in London, it might have been differently. But no, I've always been a proud person, and I'm very proud of what I've done and achieved in the game, especially in the goal-scoring side of it, because I've always loved scoring goals, and I've always had the hunger, even now, in the reserves. I've still got hunger. I still love seeing the ball at the back of the net to get a buzz from me.
Aldridge plays it off to Irons. There's plenty of space on the right side for Lee Jones now. Here's Lee Jones. Scored a second good ball in from Lee Jones. That's a great ball. Aldridge! That's John Aldridge for the record for Tranmere Rovers. And it's number 468 for John Aldridge. It's suitable for Tranmere Rovers. But what about that? John Aldridge breaks the record for Tranmere Rovers. John Aldridge scores 468 is the number of goals John Aldridge has now. And what about that, John Aldridge?
Can you remember your best goal for Tranmere Rovers? What would you put it down as?
I don't know. Funny enough, I would have to say it was in a friendly against Falkirk when I scored from the kick-off. You know, Ben, I seen the goalie off his line, and asked Ben to roll it, and just fired into the top of the net, which for me is an achievement, because all my other goals were in and around the 6-yard box, really.
Your most memorable game, I would guess that might just be the home game against Aston Villa in the semi-final of the League Cup.
Yes, that was, as a player, that was probably the greatest height that we got without the playoffs, you know, getting to the semi-finals of a major cup competition. But I also got a massive buzz when we beat Ipswich 5-2. After they just took over, we drew Leicester, my first game in charge, and Ipswich was a massive game, because we did look at that time that we could get relegated, you know, and that turned the corner. We won 5-2 when they were in the playoff zone, third from top, and we gave them a good hiding that night. And I was really proud of the lads, the way they went about the job that night. And we went on to get, well, to go unbeaten for the last 6 games, you know, afterwards. And I thought that was probably the most enjoyable game for Tranmere as a player and a manager.
Back in the playoff shake-up, that win meant that in a tightly packed table, Rovers still had a slim chance of making the playoffs. High noon was to be the Easter Monday clash with fellow hopefuls Port Vale at Vale Park. In the playoff rat race, there simply wasn't room for both teams. Something had to give. Rovers had to win to maintain any realistic chance of promotion. John Aldridge was forced into drafting in Billy Woods for his debut at left-back for the suspended Alan Rodgers, and relegated himself to the bench. On a day of glorious sunshine, Tranmere started off well.
We bossed the game and should have won it, really. I think if you look at all the chances, because we did have some excellent chances, Jordan.
And Irons drives the ball home for Tranmere Rovers. Well, he made the very best of an error in the Vale defence. 1-0 to Rovers. Then things began to go wrong. Naylor. This is Tankard. 1-2 with Mills. Mills again. He's held off the Tranmere Rovers players well. This is Hill. Mills, oh, that was an excellent goal by Port Vale. Lee Mills, the goal scorer, but just before half-time, an absolute disaster for Tranmere Rovers.
To be honest, we played very well the first half, you know, and it was hard to take that we came in 1-0 when it's practically their first shot on goal when they scored. You know, so try to lift the players and tell them to keep on doing what they were doing first half.
The reality was that Tranmere had to win the second half to keep their season alive. To McCarthy, that's a great ball. Danger here for Tranmere Rovers. Oh, he's hit the bar. Mills, it's there. Lee Mills gets his second goal for Port Vale. Despair in the Tranmere Rovers defence. It's Port Vale 2, Tranmere Rovers 1. Vale bid farewell to Rovers' playoff hopes in more ways than one, and Rovers' travelling army of close on 1,000 turned wearily for home. Port Vale it was who lived to fight another day, although they too later dropped out of the promotion race.